Since 2017, micro, small and medium-sized businesses celebrate their day in recognition of their work in local and global economies. These enterprises, which generally employ fewer than 250 persons, are the backbone of most economies worldwide and play a key role in developing countries. According to the data provided by the International Council for Small Businesses, ICSB, formal and informal micro, small and medium-sized enterprises make up over 90% of all firms and account on average of 60 to 70% of total employment and 50% of GDP. The General Assembly, recognizing the importance of these enterprises, decided to declare 27th of June the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day to raise public awareness of their contributions to sustainable development. On today's special broadcast, in collaboration with Leapworld Limited, a multi-sectorial business development service, competency development, consulting, empowerment, capacity building, human resource development, training and business management organization, we will be looking at the theme MSME strategies for growth. We'll also be taking a look at key areas of MSME commerce and business, human resource, health for business, and regulatory issues and finance. And on the first segment here, we'll be talking about how MSMEs exist because this is a veritable commerce and business industry in any country or nation. To discuss the link between these pillars of economic growth, we have in the studio my co-anchor Funke Midun, the Managing Director of Leapworld, and a representative from the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Matthew Ojo, NASME, Mr. Solomon Aderonju, and NASME, Mr. Oladimeji Adeoye. Okay then, so let's get to the business, but first we need to take a look at what the statistics have to say. MSMEs employ between 10 to 200 workers and can boast of assets worth between 5 to 500 million naira. President and Chairman of the Council of Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, Prince Agbade, said Nigeria has over 37 million MSMEs, contributing about 54% to GDP of the country, quoting a source from the NBS and SMEDAN 2013 survey. SMEs are generally responsible for the availability of goods and services, credits and repairs of second-handed products. According to a survey of selected findings by Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, some of the priority areas of required assistance are adequate transport facilities, adequate and regular power supply, reduced rate of taxation, reduced interest rate, financing or financial assistance, amongst others. With that background on commercial space within which SMEs operate, let's learn a little bit more about our guests before we kick off the conversation. All right, then, thank you very much for joining me in the studio.
Thank you for having us.
Talking about the commerce and business environment now, from the standpoint of a business regulator, from a business operator as well, how would you measure the impact of existing fundings for MSMEs in the country? All right, let's have the representatives from the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Okay, thank you very much. When it comes to finance,
okay,
that has always been a challenge. Our government has always tried to bring out measures to make funding easily accessible to MSMEs. Unfortunately, beyond making provisions, there's a challenge of access. When you talk about access, you are looking at availability itself and then the cost of that funding. So, despite all the efforts that have been made, pronouncements that have been made, you have this challenge of funds really getting to those who need it.
Yes.
Talking about statistics, you just rolled out figures to show that we have over 37 million MSMEs in Nigeria. It will interest you to know that of that figure, 99.8%, which is over about 36.9 million, are micro enterprises. These are people who employ, who have employees, between 1 and 10, less than 10 rather. Yeah. But then they need funding, they need access to access to funds to be able to build and grow their business. So really, one cannot take out the fact that government is trying, but there's still a huge gap when it comes to financing.
All right, thank you, Mr. Solomon. Would you like to chip something in?
Well, first of all, I want to really thank you for the opportunity, and I can say happy MSME celebration. Talking about funding, yes, just like the doctor has said, the issue is the availability. The issue is also the cost and the documentation issue. Then we also talk of lack of collateral, because what the banks will be demanding from MSMEs, they may not be readily available. So funding is a very critical issue, and the availability and documentation and even the time it will be ready, those funds. And I can say that Nigerian banking industry, the big banks, they don't understand the MSME in Nigeria yet. So the template is not yet there. So we want to get it right from day one. So they have to really understand the MSMEs, looking at the challenges we have and how we can surmount it. Well, the funding is a critical issue anyway, but we have other problems.
Funding clearly stated is a very major
but
concern.
Funding is the major problem, apart from other problems we have.
All right, then, would you like to chip something in as well?
Thank you very much. Aside from what my learned senior colleague have said, where the government really, let's give them credit to an extent, they are trying. It baffles me when I heard that Central Bank has about 9 different intervention schemes, but the level of awareness is almost zero. Almost zero. So not that there isn't access to fund, but the enlightenment is absolutely zero. And when you are not enlightened, how can you access the fund? Aside from the fact that the cost is relatively high, okay, aside from that, the enlightenment is equally very poor. But if I may suggest, like what they have in India, you have special banks for SMEs, not the likes of microfinance bank that we have here with 5% interest rates. If I take 5% loan, what am I going to do with 5% per month loan? Will I be able to even break even? That is the question we ask ourselves.
So it's a case of, is this a feasible
It's a case
plan?
of enlightenment. The enlightenment from central bank is very, very, very poor. Very poor.
Take off
Right, okay. Welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
And like Mr. Deroju said, happy World MSME Day, everyone out there listening to us and seated here at the studio. Happy to host you, and we will definitely have a great discourse. We've been talking about some of the strategies that the governments have put in place. I know that Nigeria moved up a few places as well as in the ease of doing business. So Nigeria moved from the 145th position from 168 to 145th. And we hope to move further, according to Perbeck, to top 100 by 2020. Is this achievable in our current economic climate? And how will it directly impact these small-scale businesses that we're doing? Mr. Deroju, can we have your thoughts on this?
Well, thank you, Madam. The first thing I want us to really address, we need to look at challenges we have.
Okay.
When we have the challenges resolved, then we can just reach that stage you are talking about. And in Nigeria, just to say, we talk too much. We don't walk the talk. If we are going to address the challenges that we have, then that thing can be achievable. Number one, government policy, we have to get it right. Like I said somewhere last week, at times, like my doctor said, at times government, the president or the our leaders, they mean well, but people that go to carry out that policy, it's like maybe they don't understand or they want to frustrate the program, or because maybe they are not in the know. Because, for example, now we are talking about ease of doing business in Nigeria. And you can see what NAFDAC is doing, increasing the tariff by over 500%. Something that's supposed to cost us 27,800. It has now moved to 84,000. And government is crying about ease of business. So the policy has to be right, then funding has to be there, regulatory compliance issues have to be addressed. I don't know why we have a government agency 2 or 3 doing the same thing in Nigeria. It's not like that in other countries. So the environment has to be more conducive. We have to talk of market. We have to talk of technology. We have to talk of research and development. We have to talk about entrepreneurial development skills. These are not there yet. So we have to really address all those issues if we are going to be there.
Thank you, Mr. Aderoju. Mr. Adioye. Mr. Olaoye.
Yeah,
like NASME, NASSI's members also deal with these developmental issues. And Mr. Aderoju just told us that it doesn't seem like something that is feasible. Do you share the same thoughts?
Yes, to an extent I do, but even beyond that, when we talk about ease of doing business, we shouldn't be so parochial, that is looking at government angle alone, talking about registration, regulations, and the rest of them. There are 3 critical areas we have to look at when we talk of ease of doing business. Aside from the first one we mentioned, which is the funding, the second one is infrastructure. It was on the news when I was coming this morning that our president was lamenting profusely that with our population of about 200 million, we are only generating about 4,000 megawatts, and even we are even distributing less than that. It is so pathetic, right, that we cannot generate 30,000 megawatts in this country. If you want to set up an SME, you must be ready to have a government of your own. You provide your water, you provide your light, you provide your logistics, you provide your fund.
Eating into the supposed profit you should be making.
Yeah, of course, it will erode your profit.
Yes.
That is number 2. Then number 3, which is the major elephant, right, that affects most SME, is activities of the smugglers. Smugglers, copyright violators, you struggle, you do a research, you produce this item, just one batch, you have produced only one batch. Before you know it, the following day, you see the whole market is flooded with your products or your supposedly products. Okay? So not until we deal with all these 3, right, we are not talking of ease of doing business.
Those are very important points here.
Yeah,
very
extremely important points.
Important.
All right, then now that you say these MSMEs are growing at an expected, would you say that they are growing at an expected rate? With all of these fundings, you did mention that the government, CBN, is doing something around, giving them funds. Yeah. However, the enlightenment is not there yet. Sure. But do you think they are growing at the expected rate that they should be growing in terms of, the return on investments that's going in?
Yeah, we are not growing at the rate we ought to grow, right? If we were to be growing at that rate, we would not have this high level of unemployment. We won't have it. So we are not growing. We are not growing. Yes, I agree we are growing, but not at the expected rate.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Another thing I want to add to the funding that we said they are available or information is not there. Even to access those funds, it's not so seamless. It's not easy. The windows are there, the doors are there, but the keys are not easily accessible. The doors are not easily accessible, the windows are not easily accessible. The key, you know,
the keys can't open.
the keys are compromised. When we're in the bank, we talk of a key compromising. So the keys are not easily, they cannot open the door.
Okay, that's actually very interesting.
So they are there.
Okay.
But our people cannot access those credits. They cannot access those facilities yet. Okay. It's not easy to access.
So that would take us to a very important point. Yeah. The keys are there, or they are compromised.
The doors are there.
The doors are there. So what do we think is obtainable outside Nigeria? So let's start with you, Doc.
Well, let me just make a comment concerning the whether PBEC is making impact, whether it's improving the situation. You know, in 2016, that was when the present government came up with the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. And if you look at what they intend to do, it's like in 8 different focus areas. They're looking at how to ensure that starting a business is easy, how to register your property, how to easily get construction permit, electricity, access to credit, taxation, trade across border, and the last, which has to do with entry or exit of people. You know, the challenge is this: we need to look at where we were before this came up, okay? And we might be expecting that jump. Government is trying, but we want this thing to be fast, and they need to do more. He did mention government coming up with a policy, and those who are to implement that policy doing things that are anti what the government seems to want. So there's a challenge. Government has only done something in the area of starting a business easy. You can register online. They've done something still on registering your property. A few days ago, the CBN governor was talking about MSMEs registering their property to the tune of over 400 billion naira. So they are improving. But beyond starting, the issue is, how do you sustain? If you make it easy for me to start, then I'm in, and then there's no electricity, there's no access to credit. So those are the things slowing down the growth, and it's also the issue of multiple taxation. You know, you just started a business, and there are challenges. I am of the opinion, if we really want growth, when a business is started, and you know you want to charge or collect levies, why not let's have something like a staggered rate? Okay, if your business is below 5 years, we collect so levy or so amount. Because the critical part of starting a business is those first 5 years. You need to stable your feet. You need to be able to stand well. When a business is fully established, you can charge whatever you want to charge. So it's like we are taking one foot or one step forward and taking 3 backwards.
So hold on a bit, Doc. Very fantastic suggestions. So let's look at global best practice and what we see obtainable outside this climb. So maybe there are a lot of things we can learn from them, or are those the things you're saying?
Basically, outside this climb, let's not even go too far, all right? And if you look at the ratings, the ranking, Kenya is 61. Yes. South Africa is 82. And though we are celebrating 145th position or whatever, but then outside Nigeria, you don't have the issue. The major issue to me is that of infrastructure, right? Even if you have access to credit, for example, and then you import goods, raw materials for you to produce, and it gets stuck at the Greek lock along Apapa Road for days. Yeah. That's a challenge. You are into, for example, you are into, you have a lab for medical diagnostics and all that, and you don't have electricity. I was in a place last week for businessmen, and a particular business owner was saying he spent around 5 billion just on diesel. So outside this climb, outside Nigeria, the infrastructures are there, one, and then you have this support to ensure that small businesses survive.
And in addition to that, in other climb, we have tax holiday, even for new businesses. Maybe the first 3 years, you are not paying tax. So they will give you tax holiday until when your business stabilizes, then you can now start paying tax. Then another thing is the environmental issues. Well, infrastructure is part of it, but conditionality, in credit, we talk of cease of credit, we talk of character, we talk of capacity, condition, collateral, and which other. But condition these days is as important as character, because if the condition is not conducive, it will affect your capacity to pay. It will even affect your character. Even if you borrow me money, yes, even if you borrow me money at 0%, if the condition is not conducive for me to pay, I will not be able to pay. It affects my character. So when we talk of character, people say that condition is as important as character these days. So we need to really fine-tune our environmental issues of doing business and other things.
I know. I think I should chip this.
Can I say something?
Oh, okay, of course.
In line, I mean, to buttress what they have all said, patronage is a key thing. Now, please prove me wrong. If you attend any government functionaries, parties, or whatever, look out for the rice that they serve. They will never serve rice. They won't serve ofada, but they will serve basmati rice. What happens to our own local rice? So when the government is not patronizing the SMEs, then who else will patronize them?
And government is a great spender.
Yes, they are the greatest spender of a fund. So who else? So they should patronize us, whether the quality of our product is good or not. It is when you patronize us, right, that we know whether we have produced to your satisfaction or not. But when you produce and the products are on your shelf, no patronage, how will you improve? So that patronage is a very, very key thing.
So we need
and in other places also, aside from that, they have what we call special ministries for MSMEs, not lumped together with the Ministry of Trade and Commerce and Science and no. A special ministry, yes, dedicated ministry for MSMEs.
But we have SMEDAN, don't we?
We do. SMEDAN is an agency.
It's an agency.
And they cater for small businesses.
It's an agency. There is little they can do. We want a dedicated ministry, right? Just the same way you have ministry of sports or of youth. You're right.
Please, can I say this? I think even if we have a ministry and the attitude, all this bureaucracy thing you go through when you get to ministries, that aspect has to be controlled. So beyond us having a dedicated, or SMEs having dedicated ministries, those who work there need to be, there's a need for government to reorientate those in charge of SMEs, that look, what we want is a survivor of this sector. Now, when the water is bad, I always say, when the water is bad, you have the baby in. You save the baby, throw away the water. Sure. Now, if the government says MSMEs are doing this, they are doing this, and in attempts to correct what they are doing, you kill the baby, then there's a problem. Those who work in these agencies, those who work in these ministries need to understand that the focus of the government is let this sector survive. Because if it does, it can solve the problem of employment. It can also increase demand. Yes. In fact, the economy will grow.
Yeah. Then in addition to what Doctor said, well, it's good to have the ministry. But I keep on saying, I even said it to my colleagues when we came this morning, that it's high time we now have a council, MSME council, whereby all the BMOs will be meeting. And we will now be having regular meeting with that ministry or Ministry of Commerce regularly, so that they will feel our pain. Because the civil service of way of doing things, they don't know the pain we are passing through. But when we now have meeting, the council meets maybe on regular, maybe on weekly basis or monthly basis, we'll be able to pass our message to the government.
All right, so we'll just take a quick break now. There's a video we need to watch regarding our conversation right now. So let's take a listen.
Okay.
So you don't need a lot of money to start a business. Indeed, if you have a lot of money at the beginning of a business, you're likely to fail. because you're going to make a lot of expensive mistakes.
Okay.
So I always tell people, start small, think big. And if you look at the biggest entrepreneurs today, whether it's Jack Ma, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, none of them had money. They all started not just in garages, but rotten garages.
My name is Bruno Oekina. I'm the CIO, Chief Inspiration Officer of Bruno's Place Unisex Salon. Bruno's Place is located at the busiest mall in Nigeria, and that is the Ikeja City Mall, Lagos. We also have one in the busiest mall and the biggest mall in Abuja, Jabi Lake Mall. And we've been able to employ over 100 staff. Now we have built a prototype, which can be replicated in the 36 states in this country. But the major challenge that I have is that getting funds, huge funds, to carry out this project is a bit tough, because getting funds from, banks or from investors in this country, a lot has to do with who you know, and it's very political. And at the same time, if the investors do not key in with the purpose, behind your business, it can be pretty difficult. I want to know whether UN has a window, to support this kind of business that can give employment or empower people. You can imagine with 2 branches, which I have done for a period of 5 years now, about 6 years to be precise, we've been able to employ 100 staff, 100 stylists. Just imagine we're in 36 states in this country, we could employ more. So I want to find out if there is opportunity, for. I also believe there are a lot of businesses out there in this country who have been able to develop a prototype which can be replicated. So I want to find out whether there is a window or an opportunity for such a business like this. Thank you.
All right, then you watched and listened. What's your thoughts on this? Do you have observations or recommendations based on his concerns?
All right, let me say something there. Back to what we said earlier about CBN enlightenment about their intervention scheme. Only very, very few people are aware that central bank has a similar funding window that can assist that gentleman. Under the ASMEs, that's Agri Small Medium Investment Scheme. That scheme has 3 windows. The first one is direct lending, which you can take a maximum of 10 million. It's not collateralized. What you need is just introduction letter with a training, certificate of eligibility, and you are good to go. Then the second window is what they call investment window. Under that investment window, this gentleman can approach central bank through his commercial bank anyway, right? And access 40% of his paid up capital as equity. He will use that one for 3 years, which we call lock-up period. No interest, nothing. After 3 years, he will now use the same fund for 10 good years. But for the 10 years, CBN will just come in as a shareholder. So as he's paying dividend at the end of the year to his other shareholders, they will be taking dividend. And at the end of 10 years, they come back and take their money. And bye-bye. No hidden charge, no other charges, whatever. You just come in, invest as a shareholder, take dividend, and they're off.
That's so interesting.
But that is not, how many of us know about that?
So
the awareness is very, very, very poor.
That's very interesting. So, Mr. Adero, do you want to speak?
Yeah, I want to.
You have a lot of members. So,
yes.
How are the associations, solving these kind of challenges to create awareness about these opportunities?
Well, we thank God for the level we are now. To answer to add to what my friend said, I don't know the state that that gentleman belongs to, but I know that Lagos State government, they have a program we call Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, LSTF, whereby many of our members have already accessed it, and they have started all over again. Though the amount may be small, but now they can give up to 2 million, and the interest is 5% per annum. Well, what I keep on saying is that why only Lagos State? Why other states cannot copy from Lagos State? Because 5%, you can't get that from any bank. And the documentation, the terms, the conditions, they are so seamless, and even the time is so fast now. So that gentleman can also really approach LSTF, which is in Lagos. And if you have other state governments copying Lagos, they can also have something like that. Then talking about awareness, we know through government engagement, through interaction with all these financial institutions, like a BOI and the Central Bank, we can get to know more about this, all these programs. And equally important is the fact that that gentleman should belong to a BMO, an association, that business membership, other NASSI, NASME, LCCI, Amen, we have so many. So by the time he belongs to any of these BMOs, they will be able to carry him along and tell him more about all those windows.
Okay, talking about these different windows, another challenge that some of these fund providers says is that, they don't have the managerial skills required and all that. So in terms of growing these small-scale businesses, do you see more of these business owners portraying the necessary managerial skill and financial know-how to scale up their business for potential exports, access to finance opportunities?
Expansion generally,
Okay, that is you have touched the tiger's tail. Yes. Because you see, I have been a banker. I spent about 27 years in the bank. The naked truth is that bankers tactically shy away from SMEs.
Yes.
And the reason is just very simple. Because SMEs are not structured.
Yes.
They are what we call informal sector. And nobody wants to give a loan to an informal sector. How do I recover my money? You approach the bank, I need a loan, 1 million. You say, okay, can you convince me that you are doing any business? No, I've been selling, I sell. Okay, bring your statement of account, let us see. Your statement of account, the turnover is showing just about 50,000. So where has all the money you've been making gone to? So well, the moment I take it, I go out and buy things, they have no records.
Yes.
And if you don't have any record, there is no bank that will like to touch you. So not until when the SMEs are structured, and that's what we do in all the BMOs, NASSI, NASME, that's what we teach.
That's the first point of call.
Exactly.
We try to restructure our businesses so that we can have access to all these.
Or could it be because of the challenges? Mr. Aderoju said condition. When condition is all right. Okay, could it be that the business environment is very challenging? So let's take it to Doc, Mr. Aderoju. Mr. Aderoju will take it on. So what are the typical challenges of this business environment? This condition that makes it so challenging.
It are so numerous. Where do we start from? Doctor said infrastructure, and my friend also added to it, the multiple taxation. Then we talk of corruption also. There's no how you
part of the MSMEs.
Yes, corruption. For getting things done. For example, an exporter is bringing maize from north. He pays, all these people with uniform, stop them everywhere to collect something, which now increase the cost of production. The problem is even the cost of production. That is why we cannot benchmark ourselves with foreign goods. The goods that are coming from other countries, they are cheaper because of the cost of their own cost is lower, and the cost of fund is also lower. Ours, you get over 20%. Other countries, they get 2%. So how can we cannot compare ourselves with them? Then the influx of foreign products is also there. But let me just react to what my friend said. He's a professional colleague, but at times, this issue of lack of capacity building, I keep on saying that at times is you want to give a dog a bad name to hang it. What of those ones that are structured? Are they getting the fund? And when you talk of unstructured, we are tackling that in our BMOs. Those ones that are structured, they have documents, they have accounts, they are well trained, they have business plan. they have business unplanned. Do they get the fund? So I'm a banker also, professional banker, so to say. But at times they don't have structure. They don't. It's just to hang the bad dog. We are structured now. Give us the money.
I hope the dog is not bad.
Let's just take the rest of it.
Let me chip in this. Somehow the three of us are former bankers.
Wow.
See, so we understand
Yes.
the terrain. You asked about the challenges. Maybe we look at it in two ways. Okay, from the SME's point of view. Sometimes when people start businesses, they don't take time to learn, okay, a lot about it. If you're going to start any business, understand the regulations surrounding that business. I always call it the principle of flapping and gliding. You need to know when to flap, also you need to know when to glide. Right. If you understand those laws, regulations surrounding what you are doing, chances are that you do better than someone who doesn't. So they mentioned the issue of training. Also, that has been addressed somehow under the ASME that you just mentioned. You have to first go to a place that you'll be trained. You present a certificate before they give you any funds. But then, from the side of the government, that's somehow obvious. Power is still an issue. Okay, we are talking about strategies for growing MSMEs. Now, I read in the news as I was coming, a private firm, okay, is going to be supplying about 10,000 MSMEs electricity, that's solar. Through the support of a giant, another company, let me not mention. So government can do something in that. We have issues with power. But you can enable private firms to come up with solar energy and then give it to these MSMEs as they need it.
All right, we're out of time now, but I'm certainly sure we all had a very amazing conversation here. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio. All right, we'll be taking a quick break now. We're done with the first segment. We'll be coming on with the second segment, particularly focusing on the importance of human resource when it comes to MSMEs. Do stay with us. We'll be back after this break.